Due to copyright, I can't publish many audiobooks on YouTube. At our audiobook novel service, we offer access to over 300 full novels from Pocket FM, Webnovel, Audible, Wuxia, and more, all in high-quality audio format. Each novel is available with a one-time payment only. No subscriptions, no monthly payment, and no ads. Payments via PayPal or Ko-fi. To browse the full list of available novels, message me directly on Telegram or WhatsApp, or check out our full catalog on Discord. Chapter 91. Reading the applicant's information. The next day, news spread within the household that the Baron was hiring a new maidservant to serve his meals. Although the selection process was rigorous, many applicants applied for the position. In just half a day, they already received over 20 applications. It was also around this time that this particular information reached Charles's ears. Strange. Why is he suddenly hiring another maidservant? Charles muttered after reading the report sent by his subordinates. All this time, it was Elena and the old butler who were responsible for sending the Baron's meals. Isn't this my chance? A smile formed on his lips. He had been biding his time while waiting for an opportunity. Now that the chance that he had been waiting for had arrived, how could he let it slip past his grasp? He turned his head and spoke. Gerard, bring the female assassins we trained here. From the dark corners of his room, a figure suddenly emerged. It was a man wearing standard knight armor. His face was devoid of emotions. Yes, my lord, the man uttered. Meanwhile, in the training ground, Alaric had just completed his daily mission. Alaric Silversword, Knight, EXP, 450/500, Potential, B. Traits, Horseback Riding, C. Swordsmanship, SSS, Close Combat, C. Archery, F. Hunting, E. Tracking, E. Sixth Sense, F. Strength, 100. Stamina, 40+. Agility, 100. Vitality, 27+. Endurance, 42+. Mana, 48. Battle points, 3350. Stat points, 6. Requirements for next advancement, 500 EXP, 100 in all attributes, and 5,000 battle points. He was about to close the cyan screen when a prompt suddenly appeared before him. Undersir. Mission Revenge 2. Mission difficulty, Normal. You have gathered enough evidence to destroy your uncle's reputation. Bring him down. Time limit, 47 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. Rewards, 400 battle points, 25 EXP, 25 stat points, item upgrade card X1. Penalty for failure, 50 EXP, 1000 battle points. Undersir. The rewards almost blinded his eyes. But that's strange. Why is the mission difficulty set at normal? He had only gotten one normal difficulty mission, and it was when they had fought with the Goblin Chieftain in the Evergreen Forest. Are there some dangers involved in this mission? He frowned. I just need to be careful. Alaric closed the cyan screen. At this moment, Elena appeared in front of him and handed him a flask. My lord, drink this water. The girl beamed at him. Thank you, Elena. Alaric grabbed the flask and took a big gulp of water. While he was drinking from the flask, Elena asked, My lord, why are the warriors acting strangely today? Hearing this, Alaric handed the flask back to her and raised his eyebrows. What do you mean? Elena pointed at the knights and the warriors who were in the middle of their physical training. Look, they are more motivated to train today. It's like they are preparing for a battle. Alaric was surprised. He didn't expect her to be this perceptive. He patted her head and smiled. Don't worry about it, Elena. Just don't mention this to anyone. Okay? The girl was confused, but she still nodded her head. I understand, my lord. I won't tell anyone about this. She made a zipping gesture with her hand over her lips. Good. Alaric chuckled. He then took a glance at Galliner, who was waiting for him nearby. Let's go. I need to check the list of applicants. Yes, my lord. Galliner nodded. The trio left the training ground and headed to Lucas's study room. When they arrived, Alaric saw his father going through the information of the applicants. "My lord." There were other people present, so Alaric greeted the Baron formally. Lucas lifted his head and nodded at him. "Sit down and help me check these applicants." "Yes, my lord." After Alaric took his seat, the Baron handed him all the information about the people who applied for the maidservant position. Alaric already knew which person would poison his father. Each paper contained the drawn image of the applicant and some information about them. Alaric went through every page, but the person he was looking for wasn't there. "She's not here." "Did you send the information to Uncle's side?" Alaric stared at the Baron. "Yes. We intentionally spread the news on his side, so he should know about it by now." Lucas replied with a nod. "Let's wait until tomorrow. Once the number of applicants reaches 100, I will handle the selection process." Alaric didn't tell the Baron that he was already aware of which person his uncle would send. He wouldn't be able to explain it, so he just kept it to himself. The Baron frowned at his words. "How will you find the person he would send?" "I have my ways, my lord. Please trust me on this." Alaric responded with a firm tone. Looking at his son's serious face, the Baron refrained from asking and decided to trust him. "All right. Just let me know if you need anything." "Thank you, my lord. I won't disappoint you." Alaric lowered his head. "You may leave. I will send the information about the next batch of applicants to you later." Lucas waved his hand. Alaric stood up and bowed to the Baron. "I'll take my leave now, my lord." After leaving his father's study room, Alaric went out of the main mansion to find Arthur. It was time to fulfill the promise he made to him. They later found him at the stables where the frost horses were kept. Upon seeing him, Arthur immediately stopped what he was doing and greeted him respectfully with a knight's salute. "My lord." Alaric felt guilty when he saw the makeshift bed in the middle of the stables. He guessed that Arthur must have stayed here all night to watch over the frost horses. Alaric sighed as he muttered apologetically. "Sir Arthur, I apologize for making you wait. I should have given this to you yesterday, but I got delayed because of some issues." He took out a beast soul crystal from his leather pouch and handed it to Arthur. Chapter 92, Elena's Tea. "Is this the—" Arthur felt the dense energy inside the beast soul crystal. He didn't even need confirmation to know that it was the disaster-grade beast soul crystal. "Please use it for your advancement." Alaric tapped his shoulder with a light smile. "Don't worry, I won't take it back this time," he added in a joking tone. Arthur chuckled at his words. "Thank you, my lord." He bowed gratefully. Alaric waved his hand. "You don't need to thank me. I'm just fulfilling my promise." He then looked at the frost horses and said, "I'll send someone trustworthy to look after the frost horses. In the meantime, you should prepare for your advancement." "Yes, my lord." Alaric didn't stay for long and left after giving him a few more reminders and instructions. Arthur's foundation is very stable. With the help of the disaster-grade beast soul crystal, he should be able to advance in less than a week. If he's lucky, it might only take a few days. He hoped that Arthur would advance before he would have to face off with Charles, but it was highly unlikely to happen. When evening came, the butler came to deliver a document sent by the Baron. "My lord, the Baron sent me to give this to you." The butler bowed respectfully while handing him a small pile of documents. "This must be the information on the next batch of applicants." Alaric took the documents from the butler's hands. "Thank you. Please inform the Patriarch that we will proceed as we had initially planned. I will convey your message to the Baron." The butler nodded. "You may leave now." Alaric dismissed him and headed back to his room to check the documents. In the next half an hour, he went through the documents, but the person he was looking for was still not there. "She's not here. Will she come tomorrow?" Alaric leaned on his seat and massaged his nose bridge. He was certain that his uncle would send the same person for the position, but he was starting to get worried. What if his uncle had already sent someone? "I'll confirm it tomorrow." Alaric retired to his bed and rested his eyes. The next day, Alaric was awoken by a series of knocks on his door. He rubbed his eyes as he got up from his bed. "Come in." A tired voice leaked out of his mouth. Creak. Elena stepped inside his room with a cup of freshly brewed tea in her hand. Good morning, my lord. Please drink this tea. I used everything I learned in the past few weeks to make this. After seeing Hershey's tea-making skills during their last trip to Rivad, she started learning how to make tea herself. Oh? Then I must try it. Alaric took the teacup from the saucer and inhaled the refreshing aroma of the tea. It had a calming scent that reminded him of the cool mountain breeze. Smells good. After taking in its refreshing aroma, Alaric took a light sip of the tea. Huh? This? He was surprised when the familiar flavor hit his tongue. Do you recognize it, my lord? Elena giggled when she saw his expression. It does seem familiar. What tea leaves did you use to make this tea? He curiously stared at her. Don't be surprised, my lord. Actually, I used dried ericory petals to make this tea. Elena replied with a faint smile. What? No wonder the aftertaste has the distinct smell of ericories. They can actually be used to make teas. Where did you learn this from? Hee. I learned this from. Elena eagerly told him how she learned to make the tea, while Alaric repeatedly praised her. After drinking the tea she made for him, Alaric went to take a bath and changed into a formal outfit before heading to the Baron's study room with Elena. I should have enough time to complete my daily mission later. For now, I should check the new applicants. Just as they were about to take a turn towards the Baron's study room, they suddenly encountered the butler. Good morning, my lord. Good morning, Miss Elena. The butler greeted them. Good morning, Sir Bastian. Elena greeted him nervously, while Alaric nodded his head. My lord, the Baron, and the madam are waiting for you at the dining hall. The butler informed him. HM? Isn't it too early for breakfast? Alaric was taken aback. Elena was similarly surprised. The Baron said that you will be busy later, and he is worried that you might not have the time for a meal, so he asked the kitchen to prepare breakfast early today. The butler calmly explained. I see. In that case, please lead the way. Alaric felt his father's care for him. He might not be so vocal about it, but he would always show it through his actions. As soon as they arrived at the dining hall, they saw the Baron and the madam chatting with serious faces. Oh, you two are finally here. Come and sit with us. Maria beckoned to them with a smile. The Baron didn't say anything and just nodded to acknowledge their presence. Sir Bastian, please tell the servants to serve the food. Maria instructed the butler. Yes, my lady. After the butler left, Lucas sent him a glance. Have you read the documents I sent over last night? He asked. Alaric nodded his head. Yes, my lord. I went through their information, but I haven't found anything significant yet. If I'm not wrong, Uncle should be sending his people today. Lucas tapped his fingers on the table with a thoughtful look. He had also investigated the applicants, but their backgrounds were clean. Meanwhile, Elena couldn't understand what they were talking about, but she tactfully remained silent. Seeing that she was bored, Maria initiated a conversation with her. When will the applicants arrive, my lord? Alaric inquired. Lucas adjusted his posture and replied in a calm voice. They are already waiting at the guest hall. You can go there after the meal. All right. A few minutes later, the servants finally arrived to serve their food. While the dishes were being served, Lucas sent Alaric a look and said, Let's eat first. We will discuss everything afterwards. Chapter 93, Assessment. After the meal, the butler handed some documents to Alaric. This is information on the new applicants. I have already checked them earlier, but I found nothing suspicious. Lucas spoke after wiping off the grease on his lips with a napkin. Alaric nodded and took a quick scan of the portraits of the applicants. HM? His hand suddenly stopped when he saw a familiar face. It's her. Drawn on the paper was the image of a woman in her early 20s. She wore a joyous smile, the kind that would make everyone feel at ease. She didn't have an impressive beauty, and she had these freckles on her nose that made her look innocent and cute. Alaric struggled hard to calm his emotions. He would never forget this face, for this was the very person who had poisoned his father in his past life. What is it? Did you find someone suspicious? Lucas raised an eyebrow when he sensed the sudden change in his expression. Alaric put down the documents and squeezed out a smile. It's nothing. He stood up and bowed his head to the Baron. I should go to the guest hall. We can't let all those people wait. Lucas frowned. He felt that Alaric was hiding something from him, but he decided to trust his son. Lucas waved his hand. Let me know if you discover something suspicious. Alaric nodded and left with Elena. On their way to the guest hall, Elena asked, My lord, why are we hiring a new maid for the Baron? Alaric felt that it was about time to tell her the truth. He shook his head. We are not. This is just a trap we set up to lure the traitor of the family. He muttered in a cold voice. Elena gasped in shock. A traitor? She felt that this matter was too big, so she didn't dare inquire further. I heard them talk about Sir Charles on most occasions. Is he the traitor? There's no way, right? She was scared of her own thoughts. A moment later, they arrived at the guest hall where dozens of women of varying ages had gathered. Upon their arrival, the women quickly spotted them and they all stood up in unison. Greetings, Lord Alaric. Most of them were experienced servants, so they were familiar with noble etiquette. There were also a few who just followed the others. Looking at these women, Alaric felt a bit apologetic. All of them were hoping to get the vacant position, but they were destined to be disappointed. He smiled as he scanned their faces one by one. Thank you for coming here. Today, we will select one of you to serve as the Baron's maidservant. But please be informed that the selection process will be strict. He paused to give them some time to comprehend his words. Only the best one among you will be chosen for the job. I know this may sound unfair, especially to some of you who came from afar. For those who will fail the assessment, please don't give up. There are plenty of opportunities out there. A single. Alaric gave a short speech for formality's sake. While he was speaking to the audience, he finally found the woman sent by Charles. She has an ordinary face, so it was difficult to pinpoint her from the crowd. I don't sense mana from her, but her physique is more well-defined compared to the rest. She is probably trained in martial arts. Please follow me outside. The assessment will begin shortly. Although the evaluation was only for show, it had to be done systematically to prevent the target from becoming suspicious. On their way out of the main building, Alaric asked Elena some questions. Elena, what should be the most important thing to take note of when serving your lord? The first thing to consider is the lord's mood. As servants, we must be prepared to. How about this? What should be done? That's easy. We just need to. Alaric already had an idea of how the assessment would be conducted, but hearing Elena's opinion was important since she had a long working experience despite her young age. Her response gave him some ideas which he would add to the assessment process. There were a lot of applicants, so Alaric brought them to an open space next to the main mansion. Everyone, may I have your attention, please? Alaric raised his hand, signaling the applicants to keep quiet. The women stared at him and perked their ears. For the first part of the assessment, I will be interviewing you one by one. I will only ask you simple questions, so there's no need to be nervous. All right, let's begin with you. Alaric pointed at someone randomly. Alaric interviewed them one by one. At first, everyone was extremely nervous, but when they realized that he was only asking them some simple questions, they became less nervous. Soon, it was finally the target's turn to be interviewed. What's your name? Alaric stared at her with a smile. My name is Pamela, my lord. The woman responded confidently. Where do you live? My parents grew up in Vale, but I left the city and came here to seek my own opportunities. I don't want to rely on them. They are growing older, so I want to earn some money and help them with the finances. She responded with a sigh. She's a good actress. If I didn't know anything about her, I would have believed her words. Alaric scoffed in his heart, but he pretended to sympathize with her experience. I admire your courage to venture outside your comfort zone. Your parents must be happy to have you as their daughter. Pamela smiled shyly. Thank you for your kind words, my lord. Are you ready for the next questions? Yes, my lord. The interview continued and Pamela managed to answer everything without stuttering. That's all I need to know. Thank you. Alaric stared deeply at her. Chapter 94. Planning the next steps. Several hours later, only 5 applicants remained from the dozens who had applied for the position. They were the best of the bunch, and even Alaric felt a bit reluctant to reject them considering their expertise. It's a pity to reject these women. Should I recommend them to other positions instead? Alaric thought while looking at the remaining 5. Honestly, all 5 of you are perfect for the job, but I can only choose one. Alaric's words made the women nervously clench their hands. Are you open to accepting a different position? He probed. Hearing this, their eyes lit up with hope. For women like them, it was difficult to find a stable job no matter how skillful they were. My lord, I will accept whatever job you offer. One of them spoke without hesitation. Me too, my lord. I can do anything. Another one chimed in. My lord. All 5 of them, including Pamela, expressed a positive response to his words. Good. Alaric nodded, looking quite pleased with their decisiveness. You and you. Alaric pointed at 2 of them. Both of you displayed the best skills in cooking. I need 2 cooks who will prepare food for my workers in the soap shop I opened in Vale. What do you think? I can offer you 2 a decent salary if you take the position. I agree, my lord. I'm willing, my lord. Alaric smiled and nodded. All right. I will have someone write your contracts later. Next is you. He stared at the oldest of the 5. The woman he was referring to adjusted her posture nervously. You showed the most remarkable talent in and knowledge in gardening. The estate needs more skilled workers like you. Are you interested in this line of work? Alaric rubbed his chin. Yes, my lord. Good. Let's talk about your contract later. Moving on. Alaric glanced at the remaining 2 women. He scratched his head and pretended to be in deep thought as if he was hesitating about which one to choose between them. After a moment of silence, he finally opened his mouth. You mentioned here in your self-introduction that you once worked on a ranch with your parents. Do you have experience in taking care of horses? The woman beside Pamela nodded her head. Yes, my lord. My father taught me how to take care of horses and cattle. Although my skills are a bit lacking compared to my father's, I'm confident that I can take care of any farm animals. I also know how to raise war horses. She emphasized the last few words, which made Alaric think about the frost horses. Oh? Can you handle fatal-grade horses or even special ones? Alaric revealed a look of interest. It was rare to find someone who knew how to take care of special horse breeds. After all, these creatures were more particular in their diet and needs. The woman was taken aback, but she responded calmly. If they are wild-caught horses, then it might be difficult to take care of them. However, if they are already domesticated or if they are still young, then I can assure you that I can handle them. Great! I have a job for you. I will tell you the details later. Alaric slapped his thigh in excitement. He didn't want to give this job to his warriors since it would only hinder their training. Now that he had a professional who could do the job better, he no longer had to trouble himself with finding someone. Yes, my lord. The woman's face lit up with joy. Finally, Alaric glanced at Pamela. Congratulations! Starting today, you will be responsible for serving the Baron's meals. Pamela covered her mouth and displayed an expression of joy. Thank you for choosing me, my lord. I will not disappoint you. Alaric smiled, seemingly pleased with her. All right, you 5, follow me to the head maid's quarters. She will teach you all the things you need to know about your jobs. Alaric and Elena brought them to the head maid's quarters. The head maid was a middle-aged lady in her mid-40s, but she looked younger than her age. Greetings, my lord. The head maid bowed upon seeing him. Head housekeeper, these are the new servants we hired. Here is the information about them. Alaric handed over the documents which contained the personal information about the 5 women. Note: Alaric is respectfully addressing the head maid here as head housekeeper. Alaric informed the head maid about the women's new positions. They then discussed the salaries and the benefits they would receive for their jobs. After dealing with all these matters, Alaric headed straight to his father's study with Elena in tow. "So, did you discover something?" Lucas stared deeply at his son. He had been informed about the assessment that Alaric conducted since morning, but he was still unaware of the results. "Yes, my lord." Alaric nodded solemnly. "Among the applicants, there is a woman named Pamela. I'm certain that she is the person sent by Uncle," he added. Lucas rubbed his chin. The name was familiar, but he had forgotten which one he was referring to. "What makes you say that?" "Because she was the one who poisoned you in my past life." Alaric was silent for a moment. "I observed them one by one, and her physique is the best among the applicants. Although she doesn't possess mana, her physical abilities surpass the others by a huge margin. She tried to hide, but she couldn't hide it from me. Her expressions also looked fake to me. There are also a lot of suspicious points in her background. For instance," Alaric made a random comment about Pamela. Of course, this was him exaggerating. "You discovered that much in just half a day?" Lucas stared at him in disbelief. Alaric nodded calmly. "Yes, my lord. I gave her the position according to what we had planned. Please keep an eye on her, but don't make it too obvious." "All right. I'll have someone observe her activity." Lucas nodded. The father and son discussed the next steps of their plan. Chapter 95, Pamela. Another day passed by, and it was already the 15th of January. Only 2 days remained before the Baron's birthday. At this moment, Alaric was on the training ground looking at his progress after he had completed his daily mission. Alaric's Silversword, Knight, EXP. 452/500. Potential, B. Traits: Horseback Riding C. Swordsmanship, SSS. Close Combat, C. Archery F. Hunting E. Tracking E. Sixth Sense, F. Strength, 100. Stamina, 40+. Agility, 100. Vitality, 27+. Endurance, 42+. Mana, 48. Battle points, 3370. Stat points, 8. Requirements for next advancement: 500 EXP, 100 in all attributes, and 5,000 battle points. He then looked at the mission which he had yet to complete. Mission Revenge 2. Mission difficulty, Normal. You have gathered enough evidence to destroy your uncle's reputation. Bring him down. Time limit: 22 hours 37 minutes and 21 seconds. Rewards: 400 battle points, 25 EXP, 25 stat points. Item upgrade card X1. Penalty for failure: 50 EXP, 1,000 battle points. I only have 1 day left. Alaric's gaze hardened. He already had enough documents to prove his uncle's misdeeds, but the latter could deny those claims and place the blame on someone else. Alaric was certain of this because he knew how shameless his uncle was. Pamela was the key to catching Charles, but the former was yet to make a move. "I already sent Galliner to observe her in secret, but there's still no news from him." He was starting to get worried. If he failed the mission, he would lose 50 EXP and 1,000 battle points. Just the thought of it made him feel distressed. After all, he worked hard to earn those points. Alaric was on his way to the main mansion when he caught sight of Aldrin running towards him. "My lord!" "Aldrin? What is it?" Aldrin stopped in front of him and stayed silent for a moment to catch his breath. And then with a grim look he reported. "My lord, Sir Galliner sent me here to inform you that the target has already received the substance." Hearing this, Alaric narrowed his eyes. "Where is he?" he asked. "Sir Galliner is still tailing her, and Sir Henry volunteered to follow the person who gave her the substance," Aldrin responded, his voice turning grave. "It looks like that damnable uncle of mine is really eager to kill my father." Alaric tapped Aldrin's shoulder and instructed. "Go and tell everyone to get ready. We will make a move soon." Aldrin took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes, my lord." After dismissing Aldrin, Alaric headed straight to his room to make his preparations. Meanwhile, Pamela was now on her way back to her assigned quarters. Why did they deliver this earlier than what we had planned? She frowned as she clutched the small pouch hidden in her hand. Inside this pouch was a slow-acting poison, and her task was to put this in the Baron's food. The initial plan was to gain the trust of the Baron and the servants of the household. She was told that they would only execute the next step of the plan once she had integrated into the household and was already accepted by the other servants. However, she received a coded message last night telling her to go to a specific location. Luckily, I managed to give the head housekeeper a good excuse to leave for a while, she thought to herself. When she arrived at the servants' quarters, she saw the head maid waiting outside her room. "Pamela, where have you been? What took you so long?" The head maid sent her a stern look. "Ah, how I wish I can kill this old bitch." Pamela lowered her head and apologized. "I'm really sorry, head housekeeper. Something came up which delayed my dash. The head maid frowned. "Enough. I don't want to hear your excuses." Pamela didn't say anything and just kept her head lowered. "Listen closely, Pamela. Lord Alaric recommended you for the position, but I have the authority to kick you out if you don't do your tasks well. You haven't even started on your job, but you're already making the others wait for you. If this happens one more time, I will report it to Lord Alaric immediately." The head maid lashed out. Pamela's face changed upon hearing this. If she was kicked out, she would immediately fail her mission. If that happened, she could already imagine the punishment she would have to go through, or worse, she might even be killed. "This will not happen again, head housekeeper. I promise you." She made sure to show a regretful expression. The head maid snorted. "Go and change into your new uniform. We will begin with the next training in 30 minutes. "Yes, head housekeeper." Pamela bowed. The head maid sent her a look of disapproval before she turned around and left. Looking at her leaving figure, Pamela's eyes flashed with killing intent. "You're lucky." When she stepped inside her room, she saw the new uniform placed on the small coffee table beside her bed. Although she had an ordinary face, her shapely body more than made up for it. She had it big in the right places, and her slim waist was something that every woman would envy. After putting on her uniform, Pamela pondered where should hide the poison. Now where should I put this thing? She didn't have enough time to think since the head maid only gave her 30 minutes to prepare. Hiding it here is too risky. I'll put it in me first. I'll find a better hiding place after the training. The pouch is double-sealed, so I should be fine. Pamela grabbed the small pouch and inserted it carefully inside the narrow hole between her legs. MMM. A moan leaked out of her mouth as she inserted the pouch deeper inside her. After slightly over 10 seconds, she let out a relaxed sigh. Phew. Chapter 96. Aggressive Alaric. Knock. Knock. Pamela frowned when she heard the knocks on her door. Is it the old hag again? She adjusted her facial expression before she walked towards the door. Upon opening it, the first person she saw wasn't the head maid, but a towering middle-aged warrior wearing an expressionless face. "Search the room," the middle-aged warrior uttered in a deep, commanding voice. As soon as his words fell, the warriors behind him pushed Pamela aside and stormed inside her room. "Sir, what's going on?" Pamela asked in a pitiful tone, but she was screaming with anxiety inside. "Did they discover me? Impossible. I made sure that no one was tailing me." The tall and muscular middle-aged warrior looked down at her. His deep gaze sent chills down her spine. She might be a trained assassin, but she knew that this person could kill her in one move. That was what her instincts were telling her. "Stay where you are. If you move even one step, I'll break your legs." A cold and deep voice drifted into her ears. Pamela instinctively raised her arms, but she stiffened when she saw the towering middle-aged warrior staring at her indifferently. Damn it! How did they discover me? Who was it? She turned her head and saw the head maid and a few other servants nearby. Was it one of them? No, it should be this guy. Her gaze moved back to the middle-aged warrior in front of her. Only a day had passed since she was accepted into the household, and her identity was already revealed. She found it inconceivable. Just where did it go wrong? "Sir Galliner, there's nothing suspicious inside the room. one of the warriors reported. Galliner frowned.
Impossible.
Search it again thoroughly. Yes, sir. The warriors carefully did another search, turning the room into a mess. Meanwhile, Galliner beckoned to a maidservant and said, "Can you help me do a body search on this woman?" The maidservant became nervous. "That? Don't worry. I'll ensure your safety." Galliner reassured her when he saw her hesitating. All right?" The maidservant nodded before she slowly approached Pamela. "Sir, there must be a misunderstanding." Pamela squeezed out a smile as she looked at Galliner, but the latter remained unmoved. "If you try to hurt this maidservant, just know that my fist will crush your head before you can even touch her," Galliner muttered. Pamela shivered upon hearing his words. There's no way she can find it, she thought to herself as she turned her gaze at the servant who had been tasked to do a search on her. "Please excuse me," the maidservant mumbled before she hesitantly touched Pamela's clothes. Galliner watched the entire process without blinking. "What's going on, head housekeeper? Why is Pamela being searched? Did she steal something?" The nearby servants asked the head maid, but the latter glared at them. "Stop asking questions. Do you guys even know who that big warrior is?" The newly hired servants shook their heads. "That is Sir Galliner. He is an elite knight working for Lord Alaric," the head maid explained in a stern voice. Hearing this, the servants gasped in shock. To them, knights were powerful warriors who could fight multiple normal warriors at once. As for elite knights, they viewed them as high and mighty beings. While the servants were silently whispering among themselves, Pamela was still being inspected. The maidservant responsible for the task looked visibly nervous. After carefully checking Pamela's clothes, she looked at Galliner and shook her head. "She has nothing on her, sir." Hearing this, Galliner's face turned cold. Just as he was about to say something, a series of footsteps suddenly echoed. Everyone turned their heads and saw Alaric dressed in his battle attire. "My lord! My lord!" The servants, the warriors, and Galliner greeted him respectfully. Alaric remained composed as he walked past everyone and stood before Pamela. While looking at her face, he muttered, "There are still 2 places that you haven't checked." The servant who did a search on Pamela raised her eyebrows in surprise. "My lord, do you mean?" Alaric ignored the shocked crowd and kept his eyes on Pamela. "Remove your clothes," he uttered coldly. Pamela's eyes shook. "My lord, I think that's inappropriate. This isn't a request. I'm commanding you to do it." Alaric was unperturbed. Facing this kind of woman, he had no misgivings in his actions. Pamela gritted her teeth. She wanted to run, but there was nowhere to hide. The whole place was blocked by the warriors. She knew that she would only die if she resisted, so she could only comply. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Pamela removed her uniform, revealing her naked body. And then, without warning, Alaric pushed her against the wall and forced her to turn around. Pamela yelped at the sudden use of force. She tried to move, but she couldn't even break free from his strong grip. "Where is it?" Alaric muttered, with anger evident in his voice. A pained moan leaked out of Pamela's mouth. "Is it here?" Alaric grabbed her neck as he inserted his fingers deeper. "And no, it's Pamela unconsciously arched her body from the unexpected stimulation. Alaric felt something rough inside her jeweled cave. He pushed his fingers deeper and pulled out the object hidden inside. As soon as he removed his fingers, Pamela's legs shivered and juices started dripping out of her love hole. Alaric glanced at the pouch he had gotten from her before tossing it to Galliner. "Have someone check if this is a poisonous substance," he instructed while wiping off the juices on his fingers using Pamela's uniform. Galliner caught the pouch and nodded. "Yes, my lord." As for this woman, Alaric turned her gaze to Pamela, who had already fallen to the ground, looking dazed and lost. "Lock her up and don't let her commit suicide. We still need to know the person behind her." Chapter 97. Results of the analysis. A few hours after the suspicious pouch was discovered on Pamela, The results of the tests were finally confirmed. At this moment, Alaric was inside the Baron's study together with the highest-ranking members of the household. "Have you discovered the contents of the pouch?" Lucas asked the herbalist who conducted the analysis on the substance. The herbalist, an old man in his 70s, nodded his head. "Yes, my lord. I discovered an alarming amount of labanurum in the substance. It's the ashes of a poisonous plant called—" Lucas suddenly raised his hand to stop the old man from talking. "Stop. You don't need to tell me the specifics. Just tell me if it's poisonous if ingested by someone." Hearing this, the old herbalist cleared his throat and nodded. "Yes, my lord. Although it won't kill a person right away, it will cause a severe impact on the body. Even a powerful knight would succumb if ingested repeatedly." Everyone frowned upon hearing the old man's words. Lucas nodded and waved his hand. "Thank you. You may leave now." The old man had already been rewarded for the task, and he didn't dare ask for more. He left as soon as the Baron gave him the cue to leave. After the herbalist left, Lucas glanced at Alaric. "Have you interrogated that woman?" he asked with a grim look. Although he already knew that the person behind her was most likely his own brother, Lucas wanted to confirm it. Alaric nodded. "Yes, my lord. Sir Henry has also captured the person who gave her the poison. The both of them are currently being interrogated by my subordinates." "Well done. Bring me to them. I would like to know who is behind these two." Lucas stood up from his seat with an unfathomable look on his face. "I'll take you there, my lord." Alaric stood up and made a this-way gesture. With the father and son in the lead, everyone else followed behind them. The underground prison was located beneath the training ground. In the training ground, there was a secret door that was constantly guarded by the warriors of the household, and this door led to a tunnel where the underground prison was built. The group passed by this secret door and headed down the tunnel illuminated by the torches inclined on the wall. No one spoke as they headed deeper into the tunnel. Everyone was afraid to speak at this moment since they could sense the tenseness of the atmosphere. They believed that there was something deeper about this attempted poisoning. A few moments later, they finally arrived at the prison cells where all the criminals were held. The prisoners were surprised to see a large group of people. Some of them cowered in the dark corners of their cells, while a few showed interest in the situation. Soon, the group suddenly heard someone screaming like a pig being slaughtered. "We're here, my lord." Alaric stopped in front of a cell. "I apologize for the unsightly scene. I asked Sir Galliner not to hold back in his interrogation," he uttered. Lucas and the others peered inside the cell and they saw two people tied to a chair. Their bodies were covered in blood. It looked like they had been tortured based on the gruesome wounds on their bodies. At this moment, Galliner, who was holding what seemed to be a tooth extractor, turned around. He stepped out of the cell and greeted Alaric and the Baron. "How was the interrogation?" Alaric asked, looking completely unperturbed by the bloody scene. He had seen much worse things, so this didn't make him feel repulsed. "They were stubborn at first, but they are answering me well now." Galliner's words made everyone look at him with fear. They thought that he was just an honorable elite knight. Turned out that he could be cruel too. "They also disclosed the identity of their superior," Galliner muttered. Lucas tapped Alaric's shoulder and stared at Galliner as he asked, "Who is it?" Galliner didn't respond immediately and waited for Alaric's confirmation. Seeing this, Alaric gave him the go signal. "This may sound shocking, so please be prepared." Galliner's words made everyone tighten their gazes. It was Sir Charles. They were sent by Sir Charles, and their main goal was to poison you, my lord. Lucas's eyes shook. Meanwhile, the others were dumbfounded. "What?" Warwick exclaimed. "There's no way." Someone found it hard to believe. After all, Charles was Lucas's brother, and he had never shown any signs of disobedience to the Baron. Lucas let out a deep sigh. So it was really him. His voice was filled with complicated emotions. "My lord, we need to bring Sir Charles here immediately," Warwick remarked with an agitated voice. "There's no need." Lucas shook his head. "Alaric already sent someone to get him," the Baron added. Everyone raised their eyebrows. Charles was not an average elite knight. Furthermore, he also had a bunch of loyal knights and warriors serving under him. Capturing him would be difficult. Galliner was here, so who did Alaric send to go after Charles? There's no need to panic, everyone. I sent someone trustworthy for the job, Alaric said when he saw the looks on their faces. I'm sorry, my lord, but who might this person be? Warwick asked with a frown. Alaric smiled and muttered, Do you know the former commander of Vale's armed guards? Hearing this, the older warriors thought about one person, while the younger warriors looked confused. Didn't he retire after failing to advance to the Transcendent Knight realm? Warwick hadn't seen this person, but he had heard a few things about him. That's true, but I helped him advance recently, so I asked him for this favor. Alaric calmly replied. Everyone was stunned. They found it hard to believe, but when they recalled that he possessed a large number of dragontail ferns, they realized that it was indeed possible for him to have helped that person advance. Chapter 98. Intruders in Charles's mansion. Inside a mansion in the intersection of Vale. Charles paced around his room with a grave look on his face. How the hell did Pamela get discovered so soon? Did she make a mistake? What should I do now? He regretted making a rash decision. I shouldn't have sent her the poison. I should have followed the original plan. Damn it! He rubbed his temples with a dark look. He didn't like what was happening. Things were progressing differently than he had anticipated. Lucas might not doubt me, but those warriors, they follow that damn nephew of mine, so it will be difficult to convince them. He rubbed his chin as he pondered deeply on how he should deal with this troublesome issue. If nothing was to be done, his standing in the family would take a huge hit. While he was racking his brains, he suddenly heard a commotion downstairs. Bang! Rumble! Charles raised his eyebrows in surprise. What's going on downstairs? Should I go and take a look, my lord? A figure suddenly appeared beside him. Charles thought for a moment before shaking his head. There's no need. The hired knights will take care of it. Besides, that guy is also down there. They should be able to handle the situation. Recently, he hired the services of a renowned mercenary group in Vale. His intention in hiring them was for his plan to take over Lucas's position. They weren't just an ordinary mercenary group either. This was because their leader was a veteran elite knight. Furthermore, there were 6 knights under him and over 10 knight apprentices. The rest of their members were ordinary warriors who had some experience in battle. It was a big mercenary group consisting of more than 70 members. At this moment, the sounds of fighting seemed to have intensified, and it looked like there weren't just a few intruders. Charles frowned as he felt a sense of foreboding creeping slowly in his heart. Gerard, it seems like our presence is needed downstairs, he muttered. Gerard nodded in agreement. The two immediately headed downstairs to check the situation, and to their astonishment, the intruders were actually Vale's city guards. What is the meaning of this, Sir Anthony? Charles stared deeply at the person leading the city guards. It was Anthony Oliver, the current captain of Vale's city guards. Furthermore, he had already advanced to the elite knight realm. Because of his advancement, he looked a decade younger than he was when he last visited North Pinetown a few months ago. Sir Charles, I didn't expect that you are actually such a conniving man. Anthony glanced at him and shook his head in disappointment. I have no reason to explain myself to you. On account of our friendship, I advise you to surrender. Resistance will only make things worse, he added in a firm tone. Anthony didn't say anything and just stared at him with a contemptuous smile. Seeing his expression, Charles was pissed. Don't blame me for this, Anthony. You just chose the wrong side, he muttered while sending Gerard a cutthroat gesture. As soon as he received Charles's instruction, Gerard immediately made a move, exposing his level as an elite knight. Anthony's eyes narrowed upon sensing Gerard's overwhelming aura. This guy is actually stronger than the mercenary leader. How dare you look away from me? The mercenary leader, named Geoffrey, roared as he swung his polearm. Swoosh! Anthony was also keeping an eye on Geoffrey, so he quickly reacted by lifting his halberd. Clang! A dull clang echoed as soon as their weapons clashed. Anthony had only recently advanced, so his mana was weaker compared to Jeffrey. He felt his arms shaking after that collision. Swoosh! A shadow abruptly appeared on his left, not giving him the time to defend. Anthony hastily moved to the side, narrowly evading the swift dagger that was aimed at his neck. He almost got me. Anthony took a deep breath as he looked at the man holding a pair of daggers. Luckily, that person is here, or this place would have been my graveyard. He chuckled as he thought about the person who led them here. Charles, who was watching the scene, frowned when he saw Anthony's smile. What is he smiling for? He muttered in confusion. Just then, he felt a cold sensation on his neck. Don't move if you don't want to die. A nonchalant voice drifted into his ears. Charles looked down and saw a sword hanging over his neck. Who is this person? I didn't even sense his presence. He was alarmed. He always prided himself as one of the strongest in the north, but he was actually unable to detect someone's presence. Who are you, sir? He asked, sweat trickling down his face. Don't try to negotiate with me, and don't even think about escaping. A mocking response resonated in his ears. He was already at the peak of the elite knight realm, but against this person, he felt that there was no chance of resisting. Even though he couldn't see the face of the man behind him, Charles could feel an overwhelming pressure akin to a towering mountain from him. My lord! Gerard finally noticed what was going on, but it was already too late. His lord has been caught, and this person also seemed far more powerful than him. A transcendent knight. Gerard was stunned when he realized the other party's strength. Meanwhile, Anthony immediately took the chance to speak. Put down your weapons if you don't want your lord to die. The mercenaries under Jeffrey hesitated. Charles was their client, and if something happened to him, they might not receive their payment. Just do as he says. Put down your weapons. Charles shouted when he saw them hesitating. He was afraid that the man behind him would truly kill him. Chapter 99. Concessions. Jeffrey clicked his tongue in annoyance. What a spineless coward. Listen here, Sir Anthony. We were only protecting our client's property earlier, so please allow us to leave. We don't wish to be involved in this matter anymore. Jeffrey didn't want to work with Charles anymore. Anthony didn't respond immediately. He looked at the old man, William, and asked, What do you think, Sir William? Should we let them go? Jeffrey nervously stared at the old man. Feeling everyone's gazes on them, Charles felt ashamed. He didn't forget to glare at Jeffrey, but the latter didn't even glance at him. I'm sorry, but I can't let you guys go, William muttered while shaking his head. Hearing this, Jeffrey frowned. Old man, you may be stronger than me, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid of you. If it really comes to that, then we won't hold back anymore. Everyone's gazes tightened upon hearing his words. No one has died on either side as of the moment, so the situation was still salvageable. But if the mercenaries were to fight aggressively, things would end differently. William furrowed his eyebrows. He didn't want unnecessary bloodshed. Is there no other way? Hold on. Anthony opened his mouth, putting the situation to a temporary standstill. Everyone turned their gazes at him, wondering what he was about to say. Jeffrey, I know that you are only doing this for the money, and there's no bad blood between us. Let's all calm down and talk this out. Anthony lowered his halberd to show that he didn't want things to escalate. I'm listening. Go on. Jeffrey also lowered his polearm. Thank you. Anthony cleared his throat. His next words would decide the fate of everyone in this mansion, and this weighed heavily on his shoulders. After gathering his composure, he spoke. Why don't we all take a step back here? We need to bring you to North Pinetown since you are involved with Charles. Please cooperate with us, and I promise you that I will speak up for your group. I'm sure the Silver Swords will understand your situation. Jeffrey's face darkened as he pondered deeply. Don't even think about betraying me, Jeffrey. Charles could no longer hold back his rage when he saw that Jeffrey was planning to back out. Without his mercenary group, his chances of escaping would be slim. I paid you, so you must dash. Noisy! William slapped Charles into unconsciousness, making him unable to finish his words. Everyone was terrified of the old man's power. Even Gerard was afraid to make a move. Charles was an elite knight, but a person like him actually collapsed after one slap to the head. Decide immediately. William stared deeply at Geoffrey, making the latter flinch in trepidation. Geoffrey looked away from the old man and turned his gaze back to Anthony. Can you guarantee our safety? He asked hesitantly. He had no choice but to compromise. Forcing their way out would result in heavy casualties, and they might even be branded as criminals. If that happens, they would be forced to leave the city. Anthony nodded and reassured him. You have my word. As long as you're not too deeply involved with Charles, I will speak up for your group. Geoffrey let out a heavy sigh. He scanned the faces of his subordinates before he helplessly nodded. Fine. We will follow you to North Pinetown. You made a wise decision, my friend. Anthony was relieved. He then signaled his subordinates to lower their weapons. Geoffrey also sent a signal to his men to retract their weapons. Gerard knew that the situation was no longer in their favor, so he could only follow suit. Seeing that the situation had finally been settled, William grabbed the unconscious Charles and said, Let's go. Under William's lead, Vale's city guards escorted the mercenaries and Charles's subordinates towards North Pinetown. By the time they arrived at the town, it was already evening. At this moment, Alaric was outside the main mansion, anxiously looking at the time limit of the mission details on the cyan screen. Under. Mission Revenge 2. Mission difficulty, Normal. You have gathered enough evidence to destroy your uncle's reputation. Bring him down. Time limit, 6 hours 39 minutes and 21 seconds. Rewards, 400 battle points, 25 EXP, 25 stat points, item upgrade card X1. Penalty for failure, 50 EXP, 1000 battle points. Under. I only have 6 hours left. When are they coming? Just then, he suddenly saw a warrior on horseback rushing towards him with an urgent look. The warrior pulled the reins when he was only a few meters away from Alaric, and as soon as his horse stopped, he jumped down and saluted. My lord, they are here, he reported with a serious face. Good. Alaric's eyes lit up upon hearing this. Did they capture the target? He asked. The warrior nodded. Yes, my lord. Alaric breathed a sigh of relief. Well done. You may leave. He waved his hand. The warrior bowed and jumped back to his mount. Hiya. Alaric watched the warrior leave with a smile on his face. I must report this to Dad and Mom. He quickly headed inside the mansion to inform his parents about the situation. A moment later, he arrived at his father's study room. What happened? Why are you in such a hurry? Lucas raised an eyebrow when he saw Alaric impatiently walking inside. Dad, they're here. Alaric responded. Lucas narrowed his eyes. I see. He stood up, arranged his clothes and nodded at Alaric's. Let's go see them. Yes, my lord. The father and son stepped out of the room. On their way down, Alaric asked, Where is Mom? She went out with Harris to investigate the stores that your uncle had manipulated. I sent Warwick to protect them, so they will be fine. Lucas responded. Alaric could rest easy with his mother taking care of the issues about their stores. She was the expert in this area. Not to mention that Harris was with her. Chapter 100, Lucas's Verdict. The father and son duo waited in front of the main mansion. After less than 30 minutes, they finally saw a large group of warriors coming towards them. Those warriors must be the mercenaries that Uncle hired. They looked quite formidable. Alaric frowned when he saw the mercenaries. Good thing Sir William has the support of Vale's city guards. That saved him some trouble of doing things all by himself. At this moment, the old man stopped in front of the Baron and gave him a salute to show his respect. Greetings, my lord. He then saluted Alaric afterwards. I have fulfilled your request, my lord. The old man smiled as he pointed at Charles, who had already regained consciousness. The latter seemed to be afraid of the old man, and he even flinched when William glanced at him. Thank you for accepting my unreasonable request, Sir William. Alaric extended his hand with a grateful smile. The old man grabbed his hand and shook it lightly. "It's my pleasure to help you, my lord. Besides, I owe you a lot for giving me the opportunity to break through. If not for you, I would have probably—" His voice trailed off as if he didn't want to say the rest of it. The two exchanged pleasantries before they went right to the topic. "My lord, I brought these mercenaries to be investigated. Please decide what to do with them," William said as pointed at the mercenaries. "All right, they will have to stay in the estate tonight while we proceed with the investigation." Alaric nodded. He was aware that these men were merely hired muscles, so he was willing to let them go after it had been proven that they were innocent. "My lord, if I may speak." Anthony stepped forward. Alaric glanced at the newly advanced elite knight. "What is it, Sir Anthony?"
Ian.
Anthony cleared his throat before he spoke. "I'm sure you're already aware that these men are mercenaries. I can vouch for them. They only followed Charles because of the huge money he promised to give them. I hope you can be lenient with these warriors." He bowed deeply to Alaric after he uttered those words. "I understand, Sir Anthony. You can rest assured. As long as they are innocent, we will release them immediately." Alaric tapped the elite knight's shoulder. "Thank you, my lord." Anthony was relieved to hear this. Alaric waved his hand. This was just a minor issue to him. Furthermore, he had already thought of letting go of the mercenaries since Charles was the main cause of this problem. He stared at the Baron and asked while pointing at Charles, "What should we do with this criminal, my lord?" Everyone turned their gazes to the Baron. His decision would determine Charles's fate. Would he forgive his brother who had plotted to poison him, or would he eliminate this hidden threat? "Lucas, wait. This must be a misunderstanding. You know that I would never do this." Charles squeezed out a smile. He was afraid that Lucas would really send him to death. Looking at his brother, Lucas took a deep breath and sighed. "Charles, why did you do it?" His voice carried a trace of pain. "What do you mean? I don't know any dash." "Enough!" Lucas bellowed. An overwhelming aura suddenly pressed on everyone, making them unable to move. Even William, who had recently become a transcendent knight, was shocked by the pressure he exuded. "Charles, you weren't talented, so I gave you the best resources to help you become an elite knight. You didn't know anything about business, but I sent you to oversee the family's main shops. I knew that you were secretly manipulating the finances of our businesses, but I turned a blind eye to it. And even after all that I have done for you, you actually thought of poisoning me." His words made Charles lower his head in silence. No one said a word. They just stared at the Baron and his shameless brother with a look of interest. These types of scenes were normal within the nobility. Brothers who had become enemies and even sons turned against their fathers for the sake of their inheritance. This was the hideous side of the political world. "Tomorrow, you will be sent to the guillotine." Lucas gave his verdict with an indifferent expression. He took one final look at his brother before he turned around and left. Everyone stared at the Baron's desolate back view. Alaric clicked his tongue. He wanted to torture this man and let him suffer for a long time, but his father had already made the decision. Suddenly, the cyan screen appeared in front of him, telling him that he had completed the mission. Under. Mission complete. Rewards: 400 battle points, 25 EXP, 25 stat points. Item upgrade card X1. Under. Alaric Silversword, Knight, EXP. 477/500. Potential, B. Traits: Horseback Riding C. Swordsmanship, SSS. Close Combat, C. Archery F. Hunting E. Tracking E. Sixth Sense, F. Strength, 100. Stamina, 40+. Agility, 100. Vitality, 27+. Endurance, 42+.
Mana, 48.
Battle points, 3770. Stat points, 33. Requirements for the next advancement: 500 EXP, 100 in all attributes, and 5,000 battle points. Under. Mission Revenge 3. If you want access to fast updates or the full novel in high-quality audio, contact me now and buy. I offer over 300 complete audiobooks from Pocket FM, Webnovel, Audible, and more. No locked episodes, no subscriptions, just one-time payment via PayPal or Ko-fi. Message me directly on Telegram or WhatsApp, or check out the full list of available novels on Discord. Start listening to your next favorite audiobook today.